Well, Mr. President, dear colleagues, I wish to thank President Biden for promoting this meeting, which is an integral part of the wider action of the global coalition to address synthetic drugs threat. Italy is an active part and pursues the commitments undertaken within all multilateral contexts, starting within the G7. We oppose the use of drugs, and we will never believe there is a right to use drugs. Instead, there is a duty to act before these substances can cause irreparable damage. We are certain of the increasing need to convey clear messages. Drugs destroy people's lives. All drugs are harmful, and those who claim the opposite deceive people. Institutions must do whatever they can to fight against the production and trafficking of drugs, invest in prevention, and support those who engage in treatment and rehabilitation efforts. The Italian government has strengthened its commitment to countering synthetic drugs, adopting a specific national prevention plan against the diverted misuse of fentanyl and other synthetic opioids. We have devised an all-round strategy focusing on specific lines of action, informing at-risk categories and raising their awareness, procuring antidotes and standardizing laboratory producers, enhancing controls to keep this drug out of the territory and prevent its non-medical use, monitoring the web and activating emergency services in the event of an overdose. Prevention, notably early prevention, remains our point of departure, along with the need to network, because only by networking we can join efforts and encourage the flow of information to protect our citizens' lives. In fact, we rank among the first European nations taking such an initiative, and we can only be proud of this. We are equally proud that this commitment was shared by the G7. We adopted a joint declaration reaffirming our willingness to strengthen international efforts to crack down on drug trafficking, cites the illicit proceeds from drug dealing, and prevent addictions, primarily among young people. We also urged all nations affected by drug threats to take appropriate measures against suppliers of precursor chemicals used to manufacture synthetic drugs. In short, a multidimensional and multi-level commitment consolidated over time through good practices. I'm referring to the National Early Warning System for Drugs, activated in 2009 by the Italian Department of Anti-Drug Policies and operating within the EU Drugs Agency's alert system and the mechanism put in place by individual EU nations. On the one hand, the system quickly identifies phenomena potentially dangerous to public health, linked to the spread of new drugs and new consumption patterns. On the other hand, it conveys alerts involving health protection and promotion structures in charge of activating any required measures. I'm also referring to the know-how and the expertise that the Central Directorate of Anti-Drug Services and the network of Italian prosecutors, driven by our National Anti-Mafia Directorate, have provided to police forces and judicial authorities in the nations most affected by drug trafficking, within a cooperation framework particularly effective in Latin America. Preventing and networking. This is the winning formula, both inside and outside national borders. I welcome President Biden's proposal and announce Italy's willingness to share its expertise to work together on a joint action plan on early warning system on trafficking and consumption of synthetic drugs, including fentanyl. We look forward to getting down to work, since the challenge ahead of us is the greatest of all. those who operate in the field of addictions, both in terms of prevention and rehabilitation, remind us that when you treat the disease, you either win or lose. But when you treat a person, you can only win. Thank you.